Welcome to Just Start, Get Visible, your go-to resource of the journey to becoming more visible in a way that feels right for you. Hey there. Welcome back to Just Start, Get Visible. I'm Jacqueline and Baker, and of course, I will be your host. Today, we're talking about consistency. And I believe that the word consistency has one of the worst PR campaigns out there, okay? Because somewhere along the way, consistency became associated with posting every day and going live all the time and always being visible and producing all the time and always being on. And for a lot of people, that version of consistency feels exhausting because it is exhausting. So instead of people building up momentum, it actually makes them stop because they think, if I can't do it perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all. But what if consistency isn't about that at all? What if consistency isn't about doing something every single day because that feels and can absolutely be exhausting? And instead, what if consistency is really about creating a rhythm, a routine that you can return to confidently in a way that feels right for you? And that's what we're talking all about today. We're talking about consistency in a way that works for you. And of course, this is part 2 of all the things that we're talking about during the month of May, because we want to make sure that you're tooled with the things to actually help you to become visible in a way that feels right for you. And of course, just start. So let's first talk about why rigid consistency leads to burnout. Because for some people, they may dissect or think about starting something and think, okay, I have to go hard in this way. And that's the only way that I'm going to get things done or make some progress. But let's just talk about why that leads to burnout, okay? I truly do believe that one of the biggest mistakes that we make is trying to build visibility around unrealistic expectations. Like literally making a decision that you're going to do something when in fact your life doesn't support that. The history of how you've shown up previously doesn't support that. The support system that you have doesn't support that. So we create systems that don't actually fit your life, your real life, not your make-believe life online, but your real life. And maybe you've done this before. Does any of this sound familiar? You told yourself, I'm going to post every day. I'm going to network constantly, right? I'm going to say yes to every single opportunity for the foreseeable future or forever. I'm going to be more visible everywhere. And let's be honest, usually that works for like a week or so, maybe longer if you're lucky. But eventually life catches up to you, right? Because work gets busy, people get sick, energy shift, you need rest, your creativity changes. Because let's be honest, most of us can't just turn on creativity all the time. Sometimes it just hits us and sometimes it doesn't. Or your capacity changes, the things that you're doing in your family or for your friend circle or, even in your love life, all that stuff can change. And instead of adjusting our plans, sometimes we assume that we just failed altogether. But the problem was never us in the beginning, right? The problem was trying to build consistency through pressure instead of sustainability. Because visibility built on pressure usually leads to one thing, like disappearing. You go hard, you burn out, you pull back completely. And now restarting feels like a failure. It feels like you fell off, but you didn't actually fail. You just created a version of consistency of your life that it just couldn't be supported long term. And so I want you to reflect on that for just a second and thinking about the things that you started or maybe the ways that you started previously. Was what you started and the processes that you had around it too rigid, where quite frankly, it led to burnout? It led to you feeling like, oh my gosh, I didn't achieve this. I didn't reach this level. I didn't do what I said I was going to do, but you didn't build consistency in a way that made sense anyway. It's one of the reasons why we don't just have the words just start as a part of this platform overall. It's because we want you to just start and get visible in a way that feels right to you. Because I can tell you all day long about what works for me, how I start, how I move. And you may think, Jacqueline, that's great and that's good for you, but that's not how I move and that's not how I start. And so we are committed here to providing you with tips, tools, and resources so you can get started in a way that feels right for you and, of course, get visible. So think about that. If you're thinking, oh my God, I failed at the last go, was your consistency too rigid and did it really lead to burnout and to a system that you were achieving or trying to achieve that never really was attainable in the first place. Which makes me want to ask you to think about this other perspective in our second section. And it is that consistency looks different for different people. All right. I really want people, specifically you, to hear this. Consistency does not have to look the same for everyone. For me, for you, for celebrities that we keep comparing our life to crazy high achievers, right? That absolutely have been go-getters and high achievers their whole life. And not to say that you're not a high achiever if you operate differently from them, but you operate differently from them, okay? For one person, consistency may be posting 3 times a week. For someone else, it might mean something like speaking up once in every meeting, sending follow-up emails consistently, sharing ideas internally at work, adding one networking event every month, having one intentional visibility action every week. Consistency is not about volume. It's about pattern and the patterns that you can sustain. Even the way that I choose to show up on LinkedIn, which is the primary platform that I show up on to talk about our leadership work over at the Scarlet Institute in Scarlet. And I'm not there every single day, but I do have patterns in how I show up so that when I show up talking about leadership, people expect that, right? It's not like, oh, who is this lady and what is she talking about? I talk about it consistently over there in a way that works for me in a pattern. Because this is all about whether people can experience you showing up over time, just not one blip here and there where it's like, oh, I saw her. Oh, I saw her. But instead, this pattern that works for you. And honestly, some of the most visible people are not necessarily the loudest people. And I know that when I say visibility, sometimes people get a little scared, like, but I'm not loud like that. Like, I'm not an extrovert and no one's asking you to be. These people that are the most visible are not, some people that are not the most visible don't necessarily show up as the loudest people. They just reliable in their presence. Like, we know that they do show up, but they're not showing up all the time. People know they contribute. People know they follow through. People know they participate. And quite frankly, that is visibility too. So just remember that consistency looks different for different people. So if you're out here trying to compare yourself to somebody else, like, oh, I don't want to get visible at all because I don't get visible like them, you don't have to. All right. I want you to also embrace this opportunity to stop building around motivation. Okay. And here's what I mean about this, because this part is really important. A lot of people try to build visibility around motivation, meaning I'll do it when I feel inspired. I'll do it when I feel confident. I'll post when I'm in the mood. But motivation changes constantly, sometimes minute to minute, sometimes hour to hour. And so instead, how can you override how you might feel in any given moment and actually put it into a system? So if your visibility depends entirely on motivation, your visibility will always feel inconsistent because we don't always feel like doing anything. Instead, I ask you to consider building it around a rhythm. Build around what you realistically maintain even during busy seasons, even when you're just like, I am so busy right now. So instead of you falling off the face of the earth, you've already built around something that was realistic anyway. Maybe your rhythm is once every Wednesday. Okay. Maybe your visibility or your rhythm is one thoughtful contribution in meetings weekly if you have something to say. Maybe it's one coffee conversation a month. Instead of saying, I'm going to go network like a wild animal, right? I'm going to talk to everybody I can talk about. Maybe it's one coffee conversation every month. And sometimes those one coffee conversations every month are so meaningful, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I met this person. I opened myself up to it. Like, that was good. Okay. Maybe it is one newsletter once a month. Maybe it is producing one podcast episode consistently, whatever consistently looks like for you. Small enough to sustain, consistent enough to build recognition. I want to say that again because that's really important. And starting out, I wish I would have adopted something like this that is small enough to sustain, but consistent enough to build recognition, where you're not just all over the place posting, doing all the time. Like, what can you do that's sustainable? That is truly the sweet spot. And when I say creating a rhythm that you can actually maintain, going into our fourth opportunity to lock in on some areas here, I want to take a second and make it practical for you, okay? If your current version of consistency feels heavy, unrealistic, or exhausting, you probably need a new rhythm that you can create for yourself instead of trying to copy other people's rhythm. What type of visibility actually fits my personality is a question that you can ask yourself. Some other questions are, what feels natural to me? What feels draining? What can I realistically maintain during a busy month, not just a perfect month, because some months aren't personal. Okay, even if I think about me late last year, early this year, I had a big shift in my life from my family overall. And while I was able to maintain some things, it was harder than normal, way harder than normal because of emotional things that I was managing. Well, imagine if I had this unrealistic expectation that I was going to post every week and go live every day. Like, I would have not been able to maintain or sustain that. So, what is a realistic rhythm that you can maintain and sustain during a busy month, not just during a perfect month? Because very few of our months are perfect. Because the best visibility strategy isn't the most aggressive one, it's one you can continue and maintain. And honestly, people trust consistency more than intensity. If you're coming hard, intense every single day, right? Are you actually really moving the needle? Are people looking forward to hearing from you, right? Because you're consistent and they know that they can believe in you showing up, okay? A person who shows up steadily over time builds far more recognition than someone who appears in a burst and disappears repeatedly because it was something that they couldn't sustain anyway. So slow visibility, it still works. I know we feel like sometimes with this fast moving world, we got to be everywhere, do everything, be in front of everyone on every single platform. Slow visibility still works, okay? Quiet visibility still works. Visibility that isn't always in your face all the time, but in a way that feels right to you. Sustainable visibility works. Okay, slow visibility works, quiet visibility works, sustainable visibility works, but I do need you to get started. Okay, so I invite you to redefine success. And when I say redefine success, what I mean is this. I think we all need to redefine what success looks like, sometimes me included, right? I'm in a good rhythm right now, but sometimes we have to redefine it for ourselves. Success is not never missing a week, it's not ever taking a break. It's not never changing your pace because your life changes and work changes and industry changes and customers change and expectations change. So you're going to stay the same, or you're going to shift with what the needs of whatever space it is requires you to. Success is returning, right? Returning back to the spaces that you know are impactful in a meaningful way. Success is re-engaging instead of disappearing forever because you think you ruined your momentum, you missed a week, you missed 2 weeks, heck, you missed a whole quarter. You can jump back in the game because consistency isn't perfection. Remember that. Consistency is trust. Trusting yourself to come back, trusting yourself to keep going, trusting yourself to stay connected to your voice even when life shifts, because life is shifting right about now. That's real consistency. Okay. So as we're thinking all about this world of ensuring that we are doing our part, right, with just starting and getting visible in a way that feels right to us, I really want you to think about the consistency myth, because it's not about doing it every day. Consistency is often misunderstood as perfection or daily output. Okay. This episode was really meant to reframe consistency as something that feels flexible, that feels personal, and feels sustainable. And rigid consistency, right? It causes burnout, it stops momentum. And I want you to be in a position to redefine what consistency means for you so you can just start and get visible in a way that feels right for you. Let's recap. The first thing I want you to remember is that rigid consistency can lead to burnout. So if you feel like you have created this rigid consistency that you were not able to sustain, maybe it's time, all right? It's time for you to embrace that consistency looks different for different people. There are 8.8 billion people out here. You are one of those different people. So consistency will look different for you. I also want you to buy into this concept of stop building around motivation. When I feel like it, when I feel confident, when I'm in the mood, and instead build a plan, a consistent plan that you can stick to, and create a rhythm that you can actually maintain. Not just one that you're doing because you saw somebody else doing it. They did it to perfection from your eyes. What does it look like for you? And when needed, what does it look like to redefine success? Because what worked last month, what worked last time you start, might not work this time, right? If you've been feeling pressure, the pressure to constantly produce, to constantly post, to constantly perform, I invite you to release that today, okay? Because remember, here, getting visible in a way that feels right for you. You don't need to show up everywhere. You don't need to do something every day. And you certainly don't need to force a visibility that doesn't fit into your life, right? Or into your rhythms. What you need is a rhythm that you can sustain, okay? A version of consistency that actually allows you to keep showing up without losing yourself in the process. And if you're trying to figure out what that rhythm looks like, we're here for you, whether that's in your workplace, your business, your content, your next chapter. I'd love to support you. I'm opening up a space for a few conversations where you can reach out to me and we can schedule some time to discuss, can we be helpful to help you just start get visible in this season of your life? And we're making it really easy for you. Just send an email to info@jacquelinembaker.com. And if you're reading this over at jacquelinembaker.com/259, which is, of course, this episode, there's a link for you to email me directly and get connected, right? So if you're ready to stop chasing perfection and start building sustainable momentum, reach out and let's talk about your version of consistency. I am here to help you just start and get visible in a way that feels right for you. Listen, wherever you're at in the world, I hope that you're safe. I hope that you're healthy, and I hope that you're well. And I certainly hope that you're starting in a way that feels right for you. You take care of yourself, reach out so I can support you, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao.
Welcome to Just Start, Get Visible, your go-to resource on the journey to becoming more visible in a way that feels right for you.